Nintendo is down bad right now, and maybe honestly, maybe they're up. Nintendo out here making a lot of money because you know somebody's gonna buy this new Switch, and it's not the Switch Pro that everybody was rumoring about, right? But it's also not really different than the current Switch. I'm not buying this. Go baby, what's good guys? Yoku here, and Nintendo kind of just dropped it out of nowhere. I saw it first on Nintendo of Europe's Twitter. They had the post and everything like that, and it was just kind of floating around on my Twitter this morning. I was like, all right, cool, let me check this out. Nintendo Switch OLED model. And Nintendo has a knack for releasing these XL versions of their consoles, and they have very minor improvements, but those improvements usually come between 1 to 2 years, sometimes even less. I've never gone 4 years and not seen a single improvement in the console, especially a home console. But I don't necessarily think the Nintendo Switch needs a lot of improvements. A lot of people simply just want better resolution. When you're playing the Nintendo Switch in, let's say, anything higher than a 32-inch monitor or TV for that matter, you're kind of looking at, well, muddy graphics. And it's not to say that it's the Switch's fault entirely. It is the game company's fault. If you look at Mario Odyssey on anything higher than a 32-inch, that game looks pretty as fuck. But then you bring in something like Xenoblade Chronicles Remastered and you notice that it's not as pretty. Again, that's not the Switch's fault entirely. It's just Nintendo and how they handle games. That being said, we got this new model, right? We got OLED, so everything's gonna look super pretty. And when you put it on the TV, that OLED model will magically make things look better, right? Wrong. Do you guys not remember the PS Vita debacle between the OLED model and the LCD model? Everybody wanted the OLED model, but at the same time, when the LCD came out, they were like, this doesn't look correct. OLED is usually highly saturated, and that does come with color correction, and depending on, you know, the company and what they're doing with the consoles. From what I've seen with the OLED model on the Nintendo Switch, there are some colors that do look a little off from their trailer that they showed off on Twitter, or the trailer they have playing on their website. But I wouldn't necessarily go and say that it's gonna make everything super saturated compared to what the Vita did. Now, when you compare that to the LCD model of the Vita, things looked washed out, and it's because your eyes are so used to seeing these colors that are deeper and richer than what they naturally should be, and now you're looking at them more appropriate and you're like, it kind of looks, you know, not as good. So I've got my Vita here. This is my my LCD model of the Vita, and it well, it's all dusty. Anyway, I still think that the Vita is the best handheld ever, to be honest. I don't think the 3DS is anywhere near close to what the Vita could achieve. It's just the fact that Sony dropped the ball in supporting their handheld. They let it go. And now we have the Switch, which is almost comparable to the Vita, but not as easily accessible to hack. And that's what made the PSP and the PS Vita so damn fucking good. I just used two swear words, and I gotta bleep that out. Anyhow, but for those that might not have seen it, you're wondering to yourself, what the hell is going on? Why is an OLED model even existing? What's so great about it? This is the Switch Pro, right? This is what we wanted, right? Wrong again. No. So what you get is a 7-inch OLED screen, which now is 5.8 inches. Wow, that's a lot of inches. It's 0.8 inches. It's 0.8 inches or inch. It's a 0.8 inch bigger than the original Nintendo Switch. My problem with this is, no matter how big these screens get, they refuse to remove this ugly ass bezel. I use bezel-less phones. Why did that pull up? Okay, whatever. Anyway, I use bezel-less phones. I don't like bezels on my phone. The only phone that I have with a bezel is an iPhone XR, and that's because I refuse to go out and buy a 12 or an 11, and I don't want to spend that money. I don't need it. Anyway, I don't like these giant bezels over my consoles, my phones, anything like that. But hey, I mean, 0.8 might be very important to a lot of people. That could make the difference between a great night in bed and a not so great night in bed. But that can't be all you get, right? No. It's the Switch Pro. It's the Switch Pro. You're gonna get more. Trust me, right? I support Nintendo. I believe in Nintendo. You're gonna get some more. You get a wide, brand new adjustable stand that allows you to go from multiple different angles to be able to better look at your Switch in tablet table handheld mode. That's cool, right? That's so cool. That's such a great feature. I can't wait to pay $350 for that. But that's not it. That's not it. Now these honestly are the best upgrades that should have been in the original Switch. But these are great features for $350. Now the first one, we get built-in wired LAN support. Wow, we get a built-in LAN port in the dock. That's so good. That's so good. Now, everyone that plays Smash Bros should buy this console, because when you buy it, you don't have to worry about buying an adapter to play wired. Now you just need a wired Ethernet cord to go in from your router into your console. And then once that happens, you can have like 75% less laggy matches online and more people will play your game. Next on the list is 64 gigabytes of internal storage. That's so sweet. That's great, bro. That's like, man, 64 gigs. I'm real positive that's way more than like 1,000 gigs on my PlayStation. That's way more than the 1,000 gigs on my Xbox. I know it, but wait, there's more. You now get enhanced audio, which only matters if you're not playing in dock mode. That's it. That's the only time enhanced audio matters, is if you're playing in tablet mode or tablet mode, whatever. Maybe you're utilizing one of the wide angles that you can use now, but that's the only time enhanced audio matters. You know what? I bet they haven't announced it because they're keeping it a secret, but they probably fixed Joy-Con drift. The Switch OLED model probably comes with new Joy-Con models too, right? And then it's gonna magically fix Joy-Con drift. You see, I believe in Nintendo. I trust Nintendo with my money. I trust their products. I mean, looking at my consoles here to the left of me, I have the PS5, I have the Xbox Series S, and you know, honestly, they just don't compare to my Nintendo Switch. Why would I want to pay $500+ for 1,000 gigabytes and upwards to 4K resolution, chargeable controllers, no drift at all? And you know, my Nintendo Switch is sitting right there, not used. Now with this OLED model, I knew Nintendo was gonna take care of me, bro. 64 gigabytes of storage, that's like way more than 500 gigs and 1,000 gigs put together. So technically speaking, if you subtract the price that it costs for a Nintendo Switch OLED model, which is $350, from how rare it is to get a PS5, so you can't even find one, right? That's huge. You got to add that in, like mathematically, you got to add that in. So technically that's another $500. And then the console by itself is also $500 unless you get the digital version, which is like $400. But remember, you got to add that $500. So now you're like $900 for a PS5. Even with all these features, you know, like I don't really need 1,000 gigabytes. I only play 2 games. So technically speaking, I can just spend $350 on the Nintendo Switch OLED model and it's a win. Bro, Nintendo Switch is killing everybody right now, man. Nintendo's the greatest company of all time, dude. No debate, no debate. If that didn't convince you to get the Nintendo Switch OLED model, I don't know what to tell you. You have new games coming out like Metroid Dread and Pokemon Arceus and even Zelda Skyward Sword HD, which definitely comes out before the Nintendo Switch OLED model, but that's not the point. And you have the legendary Smash Bros Ultimate. Everybody plays Smash Bros, and somehow I guarantee you, with no hardware improvements to the Nintendo Switch OLED model, these games will run phenomenally better. They just will. They have to. You're spending $350 on a brand new console. It has to run better, right? That's kind of like how the internet works. If I pay money for something and it's brand new, it works better than what I already own.
Hip hip.
Right? Right?
Hip hip.
Boo! You stink!
Nintendo. I don't know what is going on in the company, but this was a horrible play. Especially, look, listen, I just want the dock. I'm not even lying to you. The dock is the only thing that I care about with this. If they didn't have the giant nasty bezels for a 7-inch screen, maybe I'd buy it. Maybe, but I have an original Switch. I'm not trading this sucker in. You know what I'm gonna do with my original Switch? Do you know what I'm gonna do, Nintendo? Do you know what I'm gonna do? I am going to enhance my original Nintendo Switch with a particular serial code that allows me to do a certain thing, and then my Switch is gonna play whatever the fuck I want it to play. I bet that OLED model can't do that. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, do leave a like, comment down below. I just kind of wanted to rag on Nintendo for a little bit because this is honestly horrible. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. If you already don't own a Nintendo Switch, absolutely buy the OLED model. There's no reason for you to get any previous model before the OLED model at this point for the same price. It's like a $50 difference. Just buy the OLED model. It's the better version. Same hardware. There's literally no improvements whatsoever. You don't get better battery life. You don't get, I guess, a better screen maybe, but again, that only matters in tablet mode, and you could just buy a Nintendo Switch Lite for $150 and call it a day. That's $200 cheaper to do exactly what you're trying to do for all the, you might as well just buy a Switch Lite. Now that I'm saying that out loud, there's no reason for anybody to buy an OLED model Nintendo Switch. Just buy a Switch Lite. If you already own a Nintendo Switch original, buy a Switch Lite, and now they do the same thing as the OLED model. If you don't own one and you know you're not gonna play at home because you're like, dog, buy a Switch Lite and it does the same thing. It's cheaper, it's lighter, it fits in your pocket, and it's just a win. I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Smell you later.